Well, welcome everyone. I'm so excited you're here. I just want you all to sit back right now and get your favorite beverage. I want you to kick back, but I do want you to take some notes. So have a pencil and paper or pen. You're going to want some of this information. Now, you absolutely deserve this time. So, as hard as this is, silence your phone, turn off the TV. Let's take some notes because these may be some terms you're not so familiar with. I promise you're going to get some great information, some valuable information. Now, I also want you to stay put because I'm going to give you some really great bonuses at the end of this, and you're not going to want to miss those. First of all, everyone knows why they're here. And we all have a story, right? So stop just 1 second. Why are you here? What's going on in your life that made you want to get on this webinar and learn a little bit about your hormones? I've got a story too. So let me tell you just a little bit about myself. First of all, my career started as a registered pharmacist. So I am a pharmacist, and basically, as you can see, this is my toolbox. I had a very traditional career. I worked retail pharmacy and hospital pharmacy and oncology, which of course is the cancer center. I did mental health, and I ended up in the OR, the operating room in a big hospital. And that was really eye-opening for me. Those operations were an assembly line, quite literally, just hundreds per day. And my epiphany was that if we did not change how we approach our health, very likely I was going to end up on one of those gurneys, and you could too. So I went back to school and got my naturopathic degree. And so that is a study of all the natural therapies and all the ways to stay healthy. I have to tell you, it is a far cry from pharmacy. So as you can see, my toolbox changed completely. I learned all about herbs. I learned about nutrition, exercise, essential oils, all the tools that we use in supportive, healthy bodies. Now, I also was in my early 40s. Now, for those of you who are not quite there yet, don't let me lose you. Just because this was my story, I promise this is for you too. In my early 40s, my hormones started to change. So I was in overwhelm. I had 2 kids in high school, husband, job that took up 12, 14 hours a day, a household to run. My own health was just tanking. I was taking care of one of my parents, and of course, the list goes on. It's endless. And I know you all have your own list. You can probably sit there and write it out. Now, I want you to understand in perimenopause, that's when most women have a shift in hormones. But if you're out there and you're not going through perimenopause yet, sit tight. We are going to address you too. But I want you to understand every woman goes through perimenopause. But getting through perimenopause in style takes some knowledge. So let's kind of dive into this scenario. First of all, for those of you in perimenopause, and that's usually late 30s, early 40s, and can last into your 50s. What's going on? It's the period of time when your hormones really begin to decrease until you no longer have a menstrual cycle. Now, what's going on there? Progesterone levels are starting to go down. Estrogen is also getting lower, but at a much slower rate. So there's a real imbalance happening there. Now, if you're in perimenopause, this low progesterone level is what you'll be starting to notice. And some of the major symptoms are your periods shift. They're real irregular. Some of them are shorter. Some of them are heavier. Some of them are just flooding. And sometimes you get a shorter cycle, only 3 weeks in between a cycle instead of 4. Some women even get longer cycles, very irregular. In other words, they're just a mess. Now, another sign of low progesterone is a loss of libido. Even with the flowers and the very sweet guy, you just don't care. Vaginal dryness also can be a symptom of low progesterone, but it usually doesn't occur till well into perimenopause. So again, perimenopause is a period of usually 8 to 10 years. So you're not going to get symptoms of everything all at one time. And, not every woman gets every symptom. Now, the list will go on. Low progesterone also causes an increase in feelings of anxiousness. You get more mood swings, you get hot flashes, hot flushes, which are basically a temperature surge, but you don't break out in a sweat. And then there are the full-blown night sweats, and you can get that really clammy feeling. Now, again, if you're not in this period of time, this isn't for you yet, but we're getting to you. It sets off a cascade of changes, which is why I bring it up, because there are 7 other areas that shift when our hormones start to really shift. Now, remember, when we're going over these symptoms, they're not the cause of the problem. So you really want to look at the causes, the root problems, not just your symptoms. That's a mistake. First of all, some of you can tell your metabolism is slowing down. So if your hormones are out of balance, your metabolism very often slows down. The gland that is most responsible for our metabolic rate is the thyroid gland, and it's responsible for literally every cell in the body. Now, if your thyroid is out of balance, these are some of the symptoms that you can see at varying degrees. So if you're getting hair loss all of a sudden, like if your hair is just thinning or just falling out, if the outer third of your eyebrow is starting to thin, if you're more constipated than you've ever been, of course, the weight gain, all of a sudden the same amount of calories and you're holding weight. Brittle nails is a sign. Also, a lot of women have your really cold hands and feet. You can get real sensitive to cold. Some women get a hoarse voice, and other people get really swollen eyelids. Now, I'm not talking about the bags under your eyes. I'm really talking about the eyelid. It gets real puffy. Now, a second symptom that comes up when your hormones shift is you can really get fatigued. So as fatigue increases, you have to look at the adrenal glands. Now, the adrenal glands are responsible for all stress management. So you can imagine how depleted they can get. Is this you in the morning? And I mean tired, super tired, particularly in the morning, like you just got out of bed, but you are still dragging. So if you look like our little puppy, we need to look at your adrenal glands. Symptoms of adrenal imbalance are this morning fatigue. Also, you're hungry. Definitely have the munchies. You either crave sweets or you crave salt. You're certainly more irritable. You can have really poor concentration. And the irony is you're so tired, but you're wired. You're kind of anxious. So you don't feel it just like relaxing. Now, here's one of my favorite cartoons. Lord, please give me the patience, because if you give me strength, I'll need bail money too. Does anybody feel that way? That's how you feel when your adrenal is really getting depleted. Now, another shift in hormones can bring on sleeplessness. And what's happening is you get these interrupted sleep rhythms. And that shift in your hormones is due to melatonin and cortisol. Now, cortisol is actually an adrenal hormone, but it affects melatonin, which helps us sleep. So, what does, of course, loss of sleep impact? Literally everything. Nobody can function well, think well, if they're not getting good, continuous sleep at night. So, what can be happening? Well, first of all, you might not be able to get to sleep. Again, there's that tired, wired feeling. You're just not relaxing into a great sleep. Or you can do that frequent waking. If you're getting power surges or hot flashes, they'll wake you up at night. And you'll wake up every few hours and you have to throw the covers off. So you might wake up very frequently. Your mind can be racing because you're anxious, and you can feel really wired. So this all leads to real exhaustion. Now, here's what's happening. As the stress hormone cortisol goes higher, melatonin goes lower. So as you can see, it's counterproductive to be highly stressed. Now, the fourth thing going on is your blood sugar is shifting. And all these lead to weight gain. Have you noticed that? All of these things have that component that will put on weight. So when the blood sugar shifts, you can go into insulin resistance. Now, that increases calories that are stored. What insulin resistance really is the cell wall does not allow sugar inside the cell, and therefore it can't be burned and you can't work it off. So when it stays out in the blood, the body has to put it in the liver to store it, and then it turns into fat. So insulin resistance is definitely a fat storage uh, process. And here, of course, is what it leads to, is this belly fat right around your middle. You'll find that you're holding more weight. Again, it does not mean you're eating more calories. It's what the body's doing with them. That's not fun, is it? Now, here's an area that you may not have thought of that helps you, unfortunately, gain weight as your hormones shift, but it's allergies. Food allergies cause a stress response. And so the more stress response causes inflammation and then weight gain. Again, you can know how the more cortisol is released, more cortisol is more belly fat. Another hidden issue is yeast. Now, this is very common in the United States because, unfortunately, we eat more sugar than anybody in the world. So yeast grows in the intestines, but when there is an overgrowth, it exacerbates weight gain because we can't break down our food to a level that the cells can actually burn. And that imbalance in the gut leads to more anxiousness because actually some of our chemistry that keeps us nice and calm is made in the intestines, even though we think of it as working in the brain. If you think you might have yeast and you're just not sure, one of the easiest things to do is take a glass of water and fill it up with just clear water and then just spit in it, literally, and put it on a shelf and leave it overnight. In the morning, if your glass looks like any of these pictures, these little stringy like legs from the very surface, a cloudy speck, or just kind of the glob of saliva in the bottom, those are all indicators that you have yeast in your system. Now, I hope by this time you're kind of getting the picture here that your hormones are very complex. They depend on each other to function properly. And when one is out of balance, you just don't balance one thing or go after one symptom. You really have to get the body to rebalance in concert to get a weight off and to get the moods and everything to rebalance where you feel great and are energized again. So at this point, I want you to kind of sit back and think, why are you on this webinar? What are you really thinking? What was the reason that you were doing this? That you don't feel like yourself, you're gaining weight, you just don't understand. You're exercising, you're eating right, but you're still gaining weight. Are you just too young for this? You just want to make all this go away? Or you're just looking, just tell me what to do. Just tell me how to get rid of this. That's what I want. Well, hang on. There really are very simple solutions to all of these areas. But number one, I don't want you to leave this behind because every survival kit, anytime that you're going through a stress, you need your sense of humor. So don't forget it. So are you ready to get started? There is a hard way. You can do all the research by yourself, all of these hormones and how to balance them and what to do. You can go around asking everybody else what they're doing. Or there's an easy way. You can join me for a master class. And you can let me walk you through this step by step. I've been in practice for over 20 years, and I've helped hundreds of women go through perimenopause and hormonal shifts with ease. So here's what this is what we're going to do in a master class. First of all, if you're in perimenopause, if that's where you are, then we've got to balance this progesterone and estrogen. We've got to support your progesterone levels because they're really down. But we have to balance out estrogen dominance. Now, again, if you are younger than this, if you're not in your late 30s, unless you've had a hysterectomy or some kind of surgery, your progesterone levels may not be low. But the other thing that happens is when you're on birth control pills or any kind of estrogen prescriptions, you still become estrogen dominant by default because it's always the highest level. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to do some detoxification. For the body to lose weight, it has to be at its optimal, okay? It's absolutely has to be optimal in hormone function, and every organ has to do the work. So the liver is a critical part of this. And I'm going to show you how to detoxify your liver without having to stay home or radically change your diet or change your life to do it. Now, you might be asking, is this really necessary? And let me just tell you, it is. The liver converts all the hormones to active forms. So, the other part is we live in a really polluted world. Unfortunately, but it's true. We have polluted air, we have contaminated water, we have food supply full of additives. A lot of us, all of us, have eaten way too much fast food. And then we're also exposed to xenoestrogens. Xenoestrogens are a chemical estrogen. So they're in the environment and they add to our hormonal load. So, yes, we live in a very polluted place and we need to detoxify. The other thing we do in the master class is we're going to balance that thyroid. I'll teach you the difference between a serum deficiency of your thyroid and a functional deficiency. So, even when your doctor says it's in range, but you have all these symptoms of thyroid imbalance, we're going to address that. The other thing we'll absolutely do is go after food allergies. It's critical for your long-term health and to get rid of inflammation and all the digestive issues is to understand your food allergies. And we'll go through the steps to help you determine what your allergies are, pinpoint the most uh, common culprits, and help you get rid of the inflammation so that you are not gaining weight by not digesting your food. And for those of you who have a yeast issue, which you'll be able to tell from the little test, we'll go through yeast cleansing. Again, if yeast is a big part of the imbalance in your gut, you are going to gain weight. It also causes so much anxiety and brain fog. And so it's a critical part of getting rid of that. So again, you can burn efficiently everything you eat. In other words, if your cells can't burn it, you wear it. This is a really critical step. You've got to balance your blood sugar. And you can kind of think, well, I'm not eating that bad. But if your blood sugar is imbalanced through the day, and some of you don't eat enough, you eat once a day or you don't eat it all in the morning and then by night you're starving, your blood has been imbalanced and you've been in a fasting mode all day. So we have to get the critical steps to really balance your blood sugar all day long because blood sugar will trigger a hot flash. And if you're having trouble with hot flashes, you cannot miss this step. And I've got some proven steps and supplements to stop the sugar cravings. And I'll help you with foods that will stabilize your blood sugar and also prevent disease. An imbalance in blood sugar absolutely can, over time, lead to disease, and nobody wants to think about that. Now, the other thing is this adrenal function. You've got to, you want your energy. So if your energy is just really flagging, I'll teach you this different stages. And let me go over a little bit of each step so you can kind of pinpoint how you're feeling. If you're in stage 1 of adrenal imbalance, you still have that fight or flight. So in other words, you can get stressed out, but then you can go back to normal and relax. You can still sleep at night and you can feel refreshed. If you're in stage 2 where cortisol is remaining too high, then it's eating up your energy. So you're more tired, but you're still wired, anxious. In stage 3 of adrenal imbalance, the adrenals are getting depleted. So what's happening there is cortisol is going too low, but you go into extreme fatigue as the adrenals are depleted. And that is really hard on you too, because it's very hard to keep going. Another thing too is you don't want to reach for stimulants like coffee and energy drinks and caffeine products to keep going because that depletes the adrenals even further. So sit back just a second and remember, why did you sign up? Are you just melting down and you can't get relief? Are you fatigued? Are you just so tired you can't think straight? Or maybe you are gaining weight at an alarming rate. When the hormones are really imbalanced, it is not unusual to gain easily 20 pounds. So we really need to get this balanced. So I will walk you through every step of this. I want you to keep your sassy self. I want you to keep healthy and happy throughout perimenopause or even before it. Now, I'm going to give you some pluses here. Um, in the master class, I'm going to give you free access to my dispensary. And you're going to find my very favorite formulas. I'm going to teach you about which ones will suit you the very best. And you'll even get an automatic 20% off everything you buy. And you'll always have that. So you'll have your own personal vitamin store with my absolute favorites. Now, I do have some bonuses I told you about. First of all, I've got a free report, How to Control Your Sugar Cravings. Now, sugar is kind of near and dear to my heart. So if you're having trouble with it, this is a no judgment zone. I just want you to know sugar is highly addictive. And believe me, the food industry knows it. So they stick it in everything. It's no wonder we get so addicted to sugar. When you eat a lot of sugar, your taste buds literally can't taste other taste at all. You can't taste food. So it doesn't appeal to you anymore. So I've given you this great report on how to control your sugar cravings and absolutely some of the secrets and the supplements to how to get that under control. And I mean stress-free, because when I was getting off sugar, the last thing I needed was another stress, right? Bonus number 2 is a handout. And this is not only how to detox your liver that we talked about, but all 7 pathways that the body uses for detoxification. Now, if you really want super health and unbelievable weight loss, is you detox your pathway so your body can clean out. It's like spring cleaning. It's really digging deep and allowing the body to get rid of excess toxins. So bonus number 2 is really in depth and a great plan to get super health. Bonus number 3 is one of my favorites. Okay, so this one is about stress. And I love essential oils. I'll just tell you, I think they're one of the most powerful supplements we have for us, for any of our ills. So I'm using essential oils and they just crush stress. Not only are these in general for stress, but I've absolutely pinpointed the different emotions and the essential oil that helps support that the absolute best. So you're going to love that handout. The other thing about essential oils that I love is they act within minutes, because who wants to wait, right? Now, bonus number 4 is one of something I'm hoping that not everybody needs, but you never know, right? What if you don't know what your hormones are doing? What if you are just guessing? Some of you are working with wonderful practitioners that will do great testing for you, and you can get your levels at the doctor's office. But just in case that you're finding that more difficult, or you're for whatever reason, insurance, doctor's offices, healthcare is all different now, and we can't always get exactly what we want. We have hormone test kits from a lab that I use, and you can do a blood prick or a saliva test and get the exact levels of your hormones, and you don't need a prescription for this. So this is a test kit that you can order and just send it in to a very professional lab, and they will get your levels for you. I want to really tell you all that this master class that I'm offering in my practice, I normally charge $297 for this class. And we have a blast. This is something that is in depth, and we keep our sense of humor. We go over everything in great detail. I really help you shop for support. I explain it to you. I break it down to all the different scenarios because I want you to feel like you get your answers. So if you are interested in this master class, for this webinar, I'm offering it for $39. And this is the reason. I don't want any one of you all to be miserable. And I don't want money or the amount of it to get in your way of getting your answers. So I have dropped the price to $39 for this webinar so that you can get your answers on all these different areas. All you have to do is go to theallnaturalpharmacist.com/enroll.html, and it will take you to the enrollment page. Now, I put this on here. It's something I'm sure many of you have seen a million times, but just in case, you can see it's the $39. And if you're not crazy about PayPal or don't have an account, I don't want you to worry. You can pay with any credit card. You don't need a PayPal account to use this form. Now, if you're worried that you can't make it to a certain date and time for a webinar, again, I've got you covered. We are going to do a recording. There will be a replay. For anyone who signs up, you absolutely get the recording, no problem. Just remember, these are your bonuses. The 7 pathways to detox your body, and that's all 7 detox pathways of the system. How to control your sugar cravings, essential oils that crush stress, and also the hormone test kit. So all you have to do is just enroll at theallnaturalpharmacist.com/enroll.html. And I'm really hoping I see you on the master class. I'd love to work with you, and think you'll be so excited to get this information. Now, I'm going to stay on just a few more minutes, and if there are questions, if I can help anybody, I will be happy to. And if you have a question about the master class, I would be happy to answer it. Okay, so here's the first question. Okay, so do I need a doctor to follow the program? Well, no is the absolute answer for that. You don't need a doctor to follow the program. But I do want you to understand everyone's an individual. If you have a diagnosed problem of some kind, if you have a disease state, of course you're going to work with your doctor too. But what I teach in this is how to balance out the body. I want you to understand how to support yourself, how to make yourself stronger, and how to balance the hormones. Okay, here's another question I'm getting. How do I get the supplements? Okay, again, I've got a link, and you will get a private link to my dispensary. When you enroll, I will send you a private link, and under that, it's going to give you all of the supplements in categories so that you can see what I recommend and how to get them, and I'll go over that with you in detail in the class so there is absolutely no confusion. But you'll also get that really good discount of 20%. Okay, another question we've got is how do I check my hormones? Um, okay, so the test kits are really easy. It is a home test kit. So I'll give you the link again uh, that I use in my practice. You'll get a test kit sent to your home. It's just saliva or a little finger prick, depending on what hormones you want to test. And all you do is you just uh, get your sample and you mail it back into the lab, and the lab gives you a very in-depth um, report on what your hormones are doing, and not just one or two, but recommendations and how to approach balancing them. Okay, I also see here, can I ask questions? Absolutely. I want everyone to get as much out of this as they possibly can. So what I'm going to do is you can email me questions in advance, and I'm going to try to interject answers to all those questions throughout the master class, and I'll answer as many as I possibly can within the context of the webinar. Now, obviously, I'm not going to try to be, your doctor and diagnose or treat disease, but we are going to balance hormones. And I guess one last question here, how do I get essential oils? Okay, that is really simple too. Um, I am really picky about my oils because I've had some interesting experiences with different companies. Needless to say, I only want to use the best because I want them to work. I don't want to spend a penny on anything that doesn't give me absolutely awesome results. So um, I'll give you a link to an online store where you can get your oils wholesale, and that is the very best oils I can recommend for you, and I'll give you that during the master class. Okay, well, I think that's everything. I think there's no more questions. I appreciate you guys coming on so much tonight, and I hope to see you in the master class, and we're going to have an amazing time. I'll see you there.